This is the Tucson-Pima County Historical Commission Plans Review Subcommittee meeting of Tuesday, September 24th, 2024, called to order at 1:06 p.m. And I'll do roll call. Terry Majewski is here. Andrew Christopher.
Here.
Joel Ireland, no. And his name is spelled wrong under item 1, please. It's Joel, not Joe.
Oh, okay.
And Jan Mulder.
Here.
And Jan's first name is spelled incorrectly. It's not Ian, it's Jan. Ricky Riojas, I don't believe she is on. So we do have a quorum with 3. Okay, item 2 is review and approval of the 9/12/2024 legal action report and meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve as submitted, or are there corrections that need to be made? Andrew, Jan?
Somehow I thought we were doing the September 12th minutes.
That is the September 9/12.
Okay, I thought you said something about those old June minutes. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, okay. I move to approve the September 12th minutes as drafted.
Okay.
And Andrew, do you second?
Yes.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Okay, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry votes aye. Jan?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Thank you. They passed as submitted. Item 3 is historic preservation zone review cases that we review under UDC section 5.8/TSM 9-02.0.0 Historic District Design Guidelines and the revised Secretary of the Interior Standards and Guidelines. Before we begin, I'd like to note that because this is such a long agenda, we're going to limit our discussions to the extent possible to 20 minutes or less for this case. And when we get down to 3E, which is a courtesy review, we'll allow it 10 minutes. So case 3A is SD 0524-00045. It's 628 North 4th Avenue. This is for tenant improvements. It's a full review in the West University Historic Preservation Zone. It's a contributing resource, and we use the rehabilitation standards. Michael, do you want to give us some background, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. This case was heard by West University on August 20th, 2024. I sent a copy of this legal action report and the minutes to subcommittee. I will just read the motion as it was. Clerk motion to recommend approval of elevation 601 and 602 as shown. To have elevation 603 updated to reflect the rendering and the parapet, that the garage door shown in the rendering is acceptable, and that the lights on the west elevation rendering are also acceptable. The motion passed 6-0.
Okay, thank you.
Presentation.
And
like Madam Chair said, we are requesting all applicants, please limit your presentation to probably 10 minutes or less so that the subcommittee can have time to give you feedback and make motion. We're asking for 20 minutes to be a max. That would be for review, the motions and everything, please. Because if we lose 1% from these 3, then the meeting ends. Thank you.
Okay, and who's presenting on this?
I think it should be Richard.
Richard with Forest Architecture.
I'm going to make him.
Try it.
Are you guys ready for me to present?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Great.
Is that Richard?
Voice disabled. Yeah, I can't. I'm not able to share my screen. You guys will have to.
We're working on that, Richard.
Oh, great, thank you.
Are you signed in?
Let me see if I can make
Okay.
you a co-host, Richard. Just give me a second.
No problem.
Hey,
Thanks, Maria.
Maria, let's do it on this side so Michael knows how to do it.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
I'm just not sure he has the rights yet to do that.
he does.
He does? Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and do it, Maria.
Okay.
Sure, I'll just do that and then I'll show. So we'll look into that later, right?
Mhm.
Because that was the issue we had last time.
Christina is for some reason is not letting me.
You make Richard the co-host.
Yeah. I don't see the choice.
Give me a second.
I don't either, Maria.
That's strange.
Can you guys try again?
Yeah, it's working now.
But because you did. But Maria set up the meeting, why she should not be able to?
Second, guys. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen right
It's
now.
still loading.
Are you guys able to see? You guys are able to see my screen right now, yes?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. Huh. Let me stop sharing. And now it's
Can you stop and start again?
yeah, hold on a second, guys. Now my Zoom is totally freezing me out. Shoot. Yeah. I'm gonna have to I think I'm gonna have to log off Zoom and log back on. It's completely froze up on my end. Hold on a second, guys.
Okay.
Let me try this. Yeah, it worked. It says it was sharing, but I got nothing. Oh, give me just a second, guys. Wow. Yeah, this has never happened before, guys, but this Zoom is completely, I'm not sure whose end it's on, but it's like it's completely locked my computer out. I'm not, give me just 1 second to see if I can figure this out.
Can I go to it? Yeah,
This should be
I can make that work. So,
if-
Richard,
Yeah,
if you're having a hard time sharing over here,
It's-
I
it's
should
not-
be able to probably.
yeah, it's not even sharing. It's this Zoom is completely locked my computer out. Okay, something just happened.
Okay.
You guys
And
just
we have
released it.
those.
Okay.
Got it. So Michael, which files are those? Are they on
Yeah, they're on
the website?
the website.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get that for you. Just give me a second.
So we'll just share the screen from here. Christina will share the screen and you just direct us where you want us to go. Now the website for Bishop People County Historical Commission for today. Should be the first case right there.
I don't know which file it is.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, Maria. If we let you.
Sure.
Yeah, looks like it's working. Okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the presentation?
Uh-huh.
That looks like it.
It is.
Let me open the PDF.
I could try to share again, but I'm afraid that what would happen.
Okay. Okay, I'm in the PDF now, so I'll go to the first image I see here.
Yeah, this was just the first slide was the location.
Okay.
That was the first slide. It's a little bit cropped out though. You guys want me to try one more time sharing my screen?
What's the issue? You're saying that you need to see more of this photo?
Well, I can barely, yeah, I guess I can talk you guys through this. It's really small. I can only see, I can barely see it, but I can talk you guys through this, I
Okay,
guess.
hold on. Let me see if,
Can
Maria,
nobody
you're sharing?
open this in a PDF viewer, Acrobat?
It is in PDF.
can
Well,
you,
no,
like,
it's still being viewed in your browser.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry, Miss Majeski, members of the PRS.
Maria, were you forced to go with this new version of Zoom? Because it's terrible.
Oh,
I think we just don't know how to use it that well yet, to be honest.
Well, I have my own Zoom account and I can't get on this without going through my browser, which is crazy.
so it's still looking very small, Richard?
So we're looking at,
well,
Maria? We're looking at the on base.
Oh,
That's what we're looking at.
you're
And we
not
see our
seeing the
tabs.
PDF?
Which always looks bad.
Yeah. It's too
Yeah.
small.
I thought I was
You
sharing
go
the
to what
PDF.
website?
I don't know about others, but I'm familiar with the location, so if that's what we're hung up on.
Yeah, I think that's helping.
I'm fine without that locational view. I mean, Richard, can you work from this, what you see now?
It's just it's a little cropped, but if Maria is willing to scroll, I can just try to take you guys through it.
Okay, let's do it.
Best I can. But we want to probably start at the beginning. You're just looking at the development plan right now, and that's not really giving a lot of information. Okay, so this will kind of work a little bit. Now I'll also have to remember, because I changed the presentation was cleaned up a little bit. You're looking at the entire HPZ application, and I have a cleaned up presentation, but we'll try to take you through this, and I'll try to remember what I submitted. This was a very long time ago. So basically what you're looking at here is the location. This is this project we're calling this project Nathan's Blind Tiger Bar. This was the location of a Blind Tiger restaurant. It's on 4th Avenue, right across from one of the trolley stops. To the south a little bit is IBT's, and in between that was La Andita, sorry. And then the area in red is the area that we're working with. It is a contributing structure. We are doing some, this has been the slide that you'll see next. This site has an IID, which it went through historic at one point in time for some improvements we were doing to the back patio. It also went through a historic review previously to build a fence around the back. Those are slides that I unfortunately won't be able to show you guys that I've added since then. So at this point in time, we are converting this to a Nathan's, which is a fast food hot dog place, and then also a bar in the back. So you can see right now there'll be to the south, it abuts an existing building, so there's no work this area. There would be some work to the east facade. There'll be some work to the rear, which is the west, and there's a very small sliver of the building that's in between the house just to the north that will is affected. So we have 3 facades to be affected by historic. So go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. Let's see what that is. So this slide was just for reference. It was the site plan, which also was a development plan approved when we took this thing through the infill incentive district. And you can see here to the left is what they're calling Blind Tiger existing building. That's all the area that we're working with. We do have some work we're doing in the patios to the rear. Okay, go ahead and slide down to the next slide. Keep going. Okay, so these are some views of the existing building. So the west elevation in the upper left, that's the area that's probably the most impactful. It faces 4th Avenue. You can see it has some existing windows and a door, and then there's just views to the right looking down 4th Avenue, views looking across the street and the trolley stop. These are all just for reference. So you can go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. So this is kind of a zoomed in. These are zoomed in better photographs that we took. Again, this is an area that I'm referencing where we're doing some work to make this into a Nathan's. You can scroll down a little. You can see actually it kind of peeks around the corner there. So this is also impactful. This is a little part that rolls around the corner to the north. This is an existing window that we are needing to put a door in for egress. So this is one of the main reasons that triggered this full review, was that we were adding this door. So we're keeping this exact same opening. We're just modifying it to put in a door, and I'll clarify that as we get further along in this presentation. So you can go ahead to the next slide. So this is also another view kind of peeking down the side there, right? These are some kind of old hodgepodge buildings. We're not proposing any work in this area except paint. This is just for reference to another side that you'll be able to see. So go ahead and scroll down. And then the back of the property, this is another area that we're going to be working in. You can see this is a structure to the back, and I'll show you some things that we're proposing, but we're trying to remove some of this. And you can see there's like a little parapet on each side. And then this roof kind of slopes off. We're proposing to raise the parapet up and square this off to make this look a little cleaner. So go ahead and roll to the next slide. So this is a floor plan to give you an idea of what's going on. To the left here, which will be east, that's the front of the building that we were looking at from the street views a minute ago. So that's where the Nathan's hot dog is going to go. In the middle portion. So again, I should kind of clarify, this building is actually 3 buildings. There's a building to the east, a building to the west, and a building in the middle that were kind of merged together. The original building was an old house, and then it had been added on over the years. So to the left, which is the east, is the Nathan's hot dog. In the middle is a kitchen, and then to the right, which is the west, is a very small bar that we're adding on. We're called the Blind Tiger Bar. The concept here is that you would go through the Nathan's down this long corridor to this little bar that's going to be like a speakeasy. It's supposed to be like a little hidden bar, very, very small, kind of like a cocktail lounge, I guess I should say. Go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. So these are the elevations, more technical elevations from a construction drawing perspective. So again, elevation 601, that's the front of Nathan's, and again, just showing what this thing looks like and the changes that we're going to make, and I'll kind of walk you through them, and then I think I've got renderings in here later that I can clarify a little bit better. We're putting a sign on there, which is not a part of your review. That's a separate submittal. We're largely painting this. We are replacing the windows. The windows are not insulated windows, and so we're replacing the windows with custom steel frames. Right now they're aluminum. We didn't want to go with a storefront system, so we're replacing them with custom steel system that we're going to paint to match the Nathan's colors. And we are also adding some lights here, which I'll get into a little bit further. If you jump over to elevation 602, this is this new, over to the right, that's the new door that we're talking about adding. So again, you can sort of see the shape of the window opening. and we're pushing a door in, and then we're matching all of the windows are going to be matching. And then if we scroll down just a little bit to the bottom, 603, that's the rear. And that's what we want to do there. You can see we're raising the parapet up, and we are opening up the area. You can, previously there was 2 windows and a door. We want to open this whole area up so that we can have a little roll-up garage door to the patio in the back. And so this cocktail lounge can be a little indoor-outdoor space. Go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. So here's some kind of getting some renderings to kind of show you what this thing's going to look like. Again, this is these colors come from Nathan's. We're adhering to a brand standard. So we're painting the brick this kind of gray color. That existing awning, we're painting a slightly darker color. We're replacing the windows and the door, like I mentioned, with custom steel and new insulated glass, and we're painting the frames black to meet our brand standards. And then there are 3 lights that we're adding right now. Right now, there's an existing light in the center over the door that is a similar style. This was a light option from Nathan's that we thought looked decent with and was compatible to the one fixture that was existing. So go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. Try to keep this moving. Just a different view, kind of looking, down the street just a little bit, so you can kind of get an idea of what happens here. The shop kind of bumps in like this, and we're preserving everything. We're just repainting at this point in time. Okay, go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. This is kind of skipped to the back. I apologize. This presentation is a little more disjointed than I would have liked to have given you. These slides were just, be this the middle, but you're kind of in the back right now. This is the idea where we are raising that parapet up to match. So it's the same height all the way around instead of the roof sloping down like this. Then we're redraining the roof via scuppers. And then we want to put this roll-up garage door in here so that we can have this indoor-outdoor patio experience. And again, all of the windows and doors now are going to be this custom steel with insulated glass. And there's no mullions in here because that's how it was in the front. We're trying to match that kind of concept in the back as well too. This back patio has this use to use it as an outdoor space was previously approved in our IID, and we're just maintaining that use. It was never finished out like this. So at this point in time, we're just incorporating the changes to the building. So go ahead, you can scroll down to the next slide. This is a color palette. Again, this comes from Nathan's. This is the color that they like: the gray, the black for painted metal, the green for accent, and then in the middle there you can see the light that they're recommending. They have a couple of light choices. Again, we liked this. We thought it went with our building, and then also there was the door pulls were asked for clarification. Door pulls. These are also a door pull that they have on their doors. We're making custom steel door. This is a custom steel. Well, this is actually off the shelf, but it looks custom. So we thought this would work well with our door. We can go ahead and scroll down to the next slide. This is a spec for the roll-up garage door, just so you guys have an idea what it looks like. It was not very apparent in the rendering. Everybody knows what a roll-up garage door looks like with the glass. So it's a roll-up garage door with glass. Paint is kind of what we're looking at. Okay, if you can keep on scrolling down, and then these are specs. These were all asked for by Jody when she did the initial review. So we supplied just specs for the door, and that's kind of what it's going to look like. And you can keep on scrolling down. I don't remember what's after this. Keep on scrolling down. Yeah, go ahead. These are not very impactful for what you guys are looking at, just specs for the door. Okay, a little disjointed, right? But this is the subject property to show you guys that it is a contributing structure and was give you guys some location. Okay, you can scroll on down. And then this was the historic property card to show you guys, this, what it looks like. It looks like the photos and then what we're proposing. And then I don't think there's anything after this. Yeah. So that was again just photos of what's there. Oh, this was the Nathan sign, which again is not really a part of historic. This would be a separate submittal. We understand that, just again to kind of show you that there will be some signage here eventually. We're planning on mounting it to the front of the building in a way that this could be removed if this were ever to be changed. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And as Michael told you, this very similar presentation was presented at West University. They had a couple of comments that he reviewed. I could clarify if you want to. Also, you know, other, there's some fencing in the back that I don't have photos of in this presentation I was going to show you, but I don't have access to that. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Again, largely, I would say if we go back to, can we go back to the floor plan? Let's see, up one more. So again, this is, you can see here, I should have qualified that a little bit. You can see in the upper left, so it would be, so right there where you can see where I say new door. Again, that is probably the most significant thing that we're doing. That is that existing window opening. That's a very large opening that we are modifying to put a door in, which we needed for egress purposes. And then like I said, we're redoing all of the metal to be custom metal so that we can paint it and make it all look the same.
Okay.
That's it.
Richard, one question. So the fencing, would that, you come back for a minor review on the fencing, Michael? Would they do that? Because we're not seeing.
The fencing is existing. It was previously approved by
I
another, yeah, and it's in the back. I had pictures of it in my presentation that I can't share with you guys, unfortunately. But it was previously approved in a previous review that I did not do. It was the fencing company put this kind of wood and steel fencing that you guys previously approved, and that's all existing to remain. It goes all around the back of the property. It actually blocks you from seeing the rear facade, which was why we didn't think that the rear facade was as important. You can't really even see it from the alley. If I could have showed you a Google Street View, you would have seen what I'm talking about. But you can't even see the back of the building because the fencing is like 8 feet tall.
Okay, let's talk about the comments that came up in the motion by West University with regarding elevation 603, because they wanted it to be updated to reflect the rendering and the parapet because it wasn't showing, right?
There was some discrepancy in the way in the rendering versus, you know, the rendering was conceptual and then the drawing was a technical drawing, and there was some discrepancy as to, they couldn't get their heads exactly around it. They did after we talked about it. I updated the drawing and it was in my presentation to show you guys, which I wasn't able to show you guys, but the drawing was updated. I asked Jody at the time, did I need to submit that? She said I was just going to show it to you guys during this presentation, which you're not able to see.
Yeah,
but if you want to scroll down, I can explain to you what was going on.
Well, it's difficult, Richard, when they review one thing, we're supposed to review what they review.
Right.
So they said that the elevation drawing and the rendering are not consistent. This is on, I think it's on 603, elevation
Right.
603, and neither show the parapet that is intended to stay.
Yeah, so if you want to zoom into that, yeah, and scroll down just a little bit. So we're talking about elevation 603. So
Yeah.
yes, so you can see right here, this is exactly the way that it looks. You see that line, that dark line is the line of the existing roof, and then the area that you can see, there's a note that was cropped off here that says that we're adding that parapet. So we're raising this parapet up about 1.5 feet so that it's all equal. There's little parapet wings on the side, and we're just making a nice clean facade. The roof kind of sloped off here. We could take a look at the photo again if you want to. And then what they also didn't like was, you can see the way the roll-up garage door here is a little bit higher than it's not in alignment with the door to the left. Whereas then the rendering, it's an alignment. The intent is that these would be aligned. This was an earlier iteration where we were trying to make the garage door a little bit bigger, but now these are all in alignment. So this was a drawing that they requested be revised. And I did revise, and that's what I would have showed you guys today. I didn't think that this is that dissimilar from the rendering, but they thought that it was. If you guys want to skip to the rendering, if you want to scroll down a little bit, again, Maria, if you're still working the controls. So here's the rear rendering. So you can see this is the way that it was in. This is the intent. This is the way that everything, the construction drawings that were submitted to the city. This review came before. This is the way it looks. It's clean. It's the roll-up garage door to the right that you can't see because it's open. Is at the same height as the door. It's all, I think it's 8 feet tall, and you can see there's a nice clean parapet across the top. This is how it looks. I didn't think this was really that dissimilar from the technical drawing you guys just saw, but they did. And they beat me up for a while on it and then eventually passed it.
Well, but in their motion that it says that the elevation 603 should be updated to reflect the rendering in the parapet.
Right. So I did update that. And then I asked Jody, well, how do I give that to you? And she said, I'd show it to you today. So I'm
Okay,
not
so
able
what
to
would
do
that-
that. What's that?
Could you just describe what would happen to this drawing to show that? Because this
Well,
is
what
the
would happen
rendering.
is that, so this rendering is correct. It was the static sort of 2D elevation you were looking at that gets changed. So the thing that really is changed is that this roll-up garage door is in alignment with the door. It's all 8 foot tall, and this is the way that it's supposed to look. It's supposed to look like this. And if you want to scroll, could you just scroll back one? Sorry about this, Maria. You can scroll back to the other drawing. Okay, go back to the little 2D drawing. One more up. There you go. So you see, guys, the way that it looks like the roll-up garage door is taller, but in reality, they're the same. They're the same. It's all the same height. It's 8 feet tall. Everything else is the same. This drawing also depicts the roll-up garage door as if it's closed, so that you can see the mullions. The rendering, it's open. They were able to get their head around that, but they didn't like. They wanted these two to be consistent. And so this drawing would be changed to match the rendering. So in which case the garage door slides down and it's in the same height as the plane of the door.
Okay, well, I'm going to turn this over to the other commissioners and see what questions they have. Andrew, what are your questions?
I don't, let me see, it looks like there used to be some planters in the front. Do you know?
Yeah, the planters have been gone for a really long time. If we had a Google Street View, I don't know when those were removed, but there aren't any planters there now.
Okay, yeah, they show up in 2022 in Street View, so
Okay, so that's not that long ago.
yeah. I don't know that they were, I don't see them listed as part of the inventory form, but I'm a little concerned that they were removed without being reviewed at all. Then the other thing on the front elevation, do we have any historic photos of those windows?
I think that the historic the photograph in the historic review you could go all the way to the back to the very end of the presentation, Maria, the very bottom. There was some, you could kind of zoom in and see what those look like via the historic review inventory form if you want to. It's all the way to the very end. The windows were just wide open windows with aluminum like aluminum frame.
Mhm.
And then that's what it's there you go. So that's what it actually still looks like today. The door is aluminum and the windows, you can barely see, just big open windows. Big open windows, and they're aluminum in color, very small profile. And those are the ones we want to replace with a custom steel profile and paint it black to
Okay.
fit our color scheme.
Do you think those are a contemporary window or?
I think they are. That's kind of, in my mind, this whole thing is a little bit contemporary, being like like as in 50s, 60s contemporary, compared to 20s, 30s. And the same with the door. You can see, these didn't have, these didn't seem terribly historically significant. So that's why we're proposing to rebuild these with an insulated glass.
Yeah, I was just bringing this up because with it being a streamlined, modern, totally undivided windows, I would expect a different kind of glazing pattern here originally, but if we don't have any photos of it to see, then I think, replacing like with like essentially is fine.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like that didn't look original to me as well either. It looked too big.
Yeah.
But this is what's there.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have any other comments.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that green vertical element, is that just the drain pipe that you're painting?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And then the light, can you go back to the light? That's probably not the original light that you're mimicking either. Is that?
If we could, the in the photo we just looked
Yeah.
at, yeah, I don't know if it's original. It's what's there now. You're right. That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
correct. Yeah. And
okay.
it's not exactly, but it's a cylinder type of a shape. And we just thought, well,
Yeah.
it's there now. And we were kind of mimicking that. Yes,
Okay.
you're right.
So I have a couple comments. One has to do with that side door and probably a similar comment in the rear, but there's no kind of side by side that shows how the side door compares to what's there right now in terms of the window, and how necessary is that side door? Is it a fire requirement, or it's just Nathan wants another door?
That was a requirement that we needed, that we have a lot more people in here than we used to. And they want an exit door. That was a fire requirement.
Okay, okay. And so going down that hallway, that's not sufficient, all the other access points.
It is, but they needed there was one out the back, and this was just something that they requested. They thought the space was congested, and they asked
They
us if
being
we could do that.
Nathan's, or they being fire, or
Oh,
this?
being during the fire review process.
Okay. Do you have a side by side where you can kind of show how that door opening compares to the window that's there now? And same thing in the back. I mean, I share West University's concern that that one perspective is way different. And the other thing that's not clear without a side by side is kind of how the openings compare.
Yeah, so in terms of a side by side, there is a photograph earlier in the review. Maria, if you could scroll up to it.
Right, but it's kind of the
Okay.
placement. So where
Okay.
maybe we can go to that and you can say, well, the garage door is here, it's taking up this much or whatever, because it's really, you don't have side by side elevations, so it's kind of incomplete.
Yeah, when I was able to control the presentation, I was able to explain this, and West University was accepting of it. Unfortunately, it's difficult to I can't draw on the screen or anything for you guys. They drew on the screen for me. So how do you want me?
Well, if
explain?
you
Like,
can maybe just go to the existing windows and maybe
yeah,
you
go
can
to
walk us
that would be
through
good. Yeah,
how
go to
it's
the
being
scroll down a little bit, Maria, to the
reconfigured.
photo. Yeah, scroll down a little bit, Maria. Or maybe it's up. This is a totally different presentation. This is we're like we've lost our. This is only 4 documents. I think we're on a different presentation here.
Maria, did you hear his request?
So which photo, Richard?
Well, we've got
The
a
rear,
different. Yeah,
the
there's
east of the building, east end of the building with those windows on it.
we're looking at a different presentation right now, but we've lost our we're on the IID. I think we want to jump back
That's
to.
interesting. Oh my God. Okay.
We want to get back to that previous presentation.
Can you see it now?
Okay, yeah, we can see it now. So
Okay.
let's scroll up to the photograph. So let's go up a little bit. So then this question exactly, this is it. So back and there you go. So then during the meeting with West University, somebody we drew on the screen with their red pen. So basically you see the 2 punched windows. So to the right and the left, which is the north and the south, that's the extent of the opening. So and then you can see the height of it. So we're basically taking from we're opening that entire area up. So instead of having 2 windows and the 1 door in the middle, we'll have the entire opening. So we're opening up. We're not straying out of these constraints. So we're opening more than this, but from a left to right, top to bottom perspective, that's what we're opening up.
Right. So, but the garage door then goes from the far right over to where? Left of the door?
More or less, I would say we're sliding the door over. So if you take a similar look,
Right.
we're sliding the door over, and then you're right. Then the garage door takes up that entire area.
And then you've got like a light on the other side of the door. It's a double door. I can't remember.
It was a light, exactly, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly right. We're trying to work within these areas, and then this was the other part. You can see again, since we're zooming in here, you can see the parapets that are raised up on each side of the right and left, which would be north and south. Yeah. So then we're just connecting them. So there's a little more. We're going to put a little more masonry across the top there, so that we have so this roof doesn't drain out like it does. We want to square this off. So That's what we're doing. So we're adding a small course of masonry to match this, and also get some of the masonry back that we're taking away.
Okay. Well, I mean, the back's not gonna look at all like it looks now, so I mean, that's a given. I mean, I see why you're putting that parapet up in terms of your desire for a clean look. One of the drawings had a delineating line between the parapet and the original building, and I wonder if that's something you've considered, to at least not have it be this smooth.
That was just indicating the previous location of the roof. That was the previous location. Not that we're trying to show that this much more is the parapet. That was the idea
But it
there.
seems like that might be a reasonable thing to do, to delineate that you've pasted on this parapet there.
Well, but it's not going to be pasted on. Once this is all done, it's a continuous masonry facade, just like this. It's not
Right.
pasted on. It's
But
very
it's
clean.
A
You
false
also
sense
can't-
of history in terms of how the
You
back
also
looks.
can't even see this, is why I wish we could get a view from when you're standing in the alley. It's entirely blocked by this 8-foot wall, so you really can't see anything from the back, and it's the back, so I mean, this building, I know it's
It
historic,
seems like
but
a small way to just preserve what was there. Everything else is being, as inglorious as it is, it's being kind of obscured, demolished, removed. So can you go to the side, that side window, and just show me where the door is going compared to the window? And then I'm through, I think.
yeah, scroll up a little bit, Maria, please. One more. So that's it. In that exact spacing, we're not making it any taller, any wider. We're just punching a door in, and then we wanted to make them, all of the windows and compatible. We want them to all look the same, so they're all the same glass and the same custom steel black painted frames.
So is the door as wide as the window, or what's going on there?
So that has a light as well too. You could scroll back down to the elevation again, Maria, and down a little bit more. There you go. So it looks like that. So now there's a light
Oh, I see.
with the door. We're trying to minimize the area that we took out.
Got it. Okay.
And since the rest of the windows were this kind of openness, we matched it. The roll-up garage door is harder. It has to have mullions in order to move.
Yeah, articulate.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Jan or Andrew, are you willing to make a motion? Are we ready for that? We're way beyond our 20 minutes here for this case.
Sure. We're essentially just echoing what the other one said, right? Or no?
Andrew and Terry, what do you think about delineating in the back where that parapet's added or raised?
I'm not particularly partial to it, since it was probably just some addition over, at some point, but
You mean the sloped roof part
Yeah.
is an addition? Yeah,
yeah,
but we don't know when.
yeah. I think it's already
Yeah,
so modified.
bastardized, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I think the motion is just approved as submitted then, right?
Well, I mean, do we want to reflect what West University said in terms of just making sure these things are aligned? I mean, sounds like they're both on the record in the back.
Yeah, I don't think because we did not see the new images that he made, I think we have to review it based on what we saw here. That's, and then just, the director will have to, and we could indicate that staff would have to review that, the drawings are consistent, or depending on the director's decision, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah, because it seems like, I mean, it doesn't sound like right now what Richard's saying, that's his intent, to have them misaligned, but there's drawings that say both, so it'd be a shame if it ended up going through that way.
It remained, yeah, and I think they need to be They need to be consistent.
Okay, so would that just be the drawings should be updated to accurately represent the proposed conditions, or I'm not
Well,
sure how to
right, and
word
that's,
it.
and
Yeah.
it's the east elevation, which is drawing, is elevation 603, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could, I mean, if you guys printed that, the minutes out from West University, that's basically what it said. Recommend approval of elevation 601 and 602 is shown. To have elevation 603 updated to reflect the rendering and the parapet that the garage door shown in the rendering is acceptable, and the lights on the west elevation rendering are acceptable, you know? I mean,
Or
I think that,
it's more that they're at the same height, that I think he's
Yeah,
saying 8
well, you
feet,
could-
that the garage door is the same height as the door.
yeah,
and
you could,
length,
yeah, I think that's what they were saying, that they weren't consistent.
yeah.
So
Okay.
if somebody wants to do something like that, I think that's the best we can do.
Okay. Do you want to do that, Jen, or do you want me to read it?
Yeah, I'll do it. I
Okay.
don't think I'll go from these drawings because the drawings really, well, okay, I'll try. In the matter of SD 0524-00045 at 628 North 4th Avenue, we recommend approval subject to the condition that elevation 602 and 603 be amended to reflect the roll-up doors being even with the passage door that is 8 feet tall.
Okay. I'll second.
Okay, is there further discussion?
Yeah, I'm not sure what West University was talking about, the parapet in the two different drawings, but
Well, if this is what we
Different,
feel,
yeah.
this is good. I think
yeah,
you
I
could.
think that's enough, yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, I'll go ahead and call roll. I vote aye. Jan?
All right,
Andrew?
Aye.
Great, it passes 3-0. So Richard, are you clear on the next steps on this?
I'm not actually, and I tried to get clarification again from historic. I don't understand what the mechanism is for you guys to see, you know, the revision. That's the part that I don't understand.
Well, okay, what happens now is that the West University recommendations and the PRS recommendations go to the director who makes the final decision. We simply make recommendations. I
Right?
don't think we ask for anything. We didn't ask to see it again.
Okay.
We would assume that staff would review this before these plans go final.
Right. Got it. Okay.
And
So,
go ahead.
Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS. This project, instead of being submitted as historic review, it should have been submitted as a modification to the approved design package under the IID.
oh,
And I apologize, you know, I'm just seeing this and I'm realizing that's what should have happened. So even before going through the Historic Advisory Board and you, the PRS, it needed to go through the design professional. So this would really be a modification of the last approved design package under the IID. This was the previous decision notice under the IID. So I'm gonna request Richard to make the modifications recommended by the PRS. And then I'm gonna be sending them to the design professional for his review, and then to the PDSD director for her final decision.
Okay, so just keep us posted on what happens with this. And I'm sorry, Richard, because I was unaware that this shouldn't have come to us this way.
Yeah, and thanks for saying that, because I had a question I totally forgot about, which was, yeah, what was approved before? And we're just looking at and what's new, and some of that was kind of disclosed and some wasn't, so thank you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
I apologize, staff just didn't, direct the applicant through the appropriate review process. But we're still following it, just in the wrong order. So we're still on time to have the design professional review, and if there's any major modifications that result from that review, then definitely we will need to go back to through the historic review process.
Can I chime in real quick here, Maria? So the first thing we asked for was a minor review, a minor modification. That's what we asked for, and it was reviewed. This is what Jody told me. It was reviewed, and it was determined that this was not a minor. This was a more major, that we couldn't just modify it, small time. It had to go through this whole process. So it's been reviewed already, and that was the determination. So I don't know that you're in the wrong spot, actually. I don't know how you guys workings, but I'm telling you right now, we tried to do a lesser approach than this. So maybe
But
it
if there
wasn't
were
wrong
things
at
that
all.
you guys already got approved, like some of the doors and stuff, then we wouldn't have been wasting your time if that's all part of your previous review.
Yeah, but it was not. So
Okay.
that was the key.
Yeah,
So
it
Jody
just wouldn't
told
be
us that
helpful. Yeah,
Jody told us that the doors were the main reason
Okay.
that it had to go through. That's right.
okay, well,
So let me arrange for a meeting with you, Richard,
Okay.
to discuss, and then if we need to go back to PRS, we'll do.
okay, but for now, you have our recommendation and we'll see what else. So, sorry, Richard, it's out of our purview,
Okay.
but you've gotten a recommendation from us, so there. All right, well, thank you, and sorry about the issues with your presentation. I hope we can remedy this in the future so that other people can present.
And I think I'm presenting again in a minute. So we're gonna have the same problem again with me. So we'll try again. I think I'm
Are you-
presenting 2 today.
Are you
So-
on 3B as well?
Yes, I am.
So
Okay, well,
Richard,
let me,
do you mind just quickly disconnecting from Zoom and going
Sure.
back in? Maybe that will solve
Sure.
that.
Let me try. I'll see if I can do it. Great.
yeah, and come back and then I'll call that case because it's not
Great.
called yet.
Super.
Thank you. Christina, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you make me the host?
Mhm. Me.
It should be cool.
Okay, thank you. Maybe that will help allowing Richard to share. And other applicants, I'm not sure. We'll find out.
You back? I don't see him yet.
Oh,
He's back.
he's back. Okay, so I'll try to make you Richard the co-host.
Okay.
And I'll try to share your screen.
See what happens
Okay,
here.
can I go ahead and call the case, Maria, and then he can be working on that?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, our next case is 3B, TDDEV 0724-00207/SD 0524-000050 at 35 East Toole Avenue. It's a change of use, remodel existing Bata Garden courtyard to create partially covered outdoor dining and food preparation patio. Landscape, steel shade structures, canopies. This is a full review in the Rio Nuevo area, downtown infill incentive district, Warehouse National Register Historic District. It's a contributing resource. So we need a staff report. If this is an IID, how are we reviewing this? Is it a normal HPZ type review, or is it only for compatibility as an IID project?
Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS, this is a Rio Nuevo area review. It's not RNA, but it is for historic compatibility. And the DRB reviewed last week this case, and they recommended approval to the PDST director with conditions. The first one, for outdoor lighting to be provided at the pop-up window on the east facade of the fence. The second condition, design package needs to demonstrate there is a minimum of 6 feet clearance for pedestrians along the east sidewalk in the 7th Avenue right away when all doors are fully open. And third, a shade study to be revised to demonstrate compliance with the requirement of shade at 12 p.m. on June 21st. So those were the recommendations from the DRB.
Okay, so in the past, we used to always do our review before DRB and there was always a giant rush. So now that schedule is completely out the window?
No, Ms. Majeski, members of the PRS, since the PRS has such, full agendas, we were not gonna be able to take this project to you until the end of October. So in order to help the applicant move the project forward, we took it to the DRB first.
Okay. All right. So, okay, Richard, are you able to share? You are?
Yeah, it's working like a charm.
Okay, sounds good. Go ahead and present for us, please.
All right, guys.
And Madam Chair, this was made known to DRB members, so if PRS finds something significant that applicant needs to address, then they can always go back to DRB.
Right, and we do have the motion that Michael forwarded, Maria had it sent it to Michael, who I think forwarded to, anyway, we have it. So for your review, PRS members. Okay, go ahead, Richard.
All right, so this is expansion sort of to the bottle restaurant. I have a kind of zoomed out Google view here. You can see this is 6th Street and Toole Avenue. This is the complex with Bada. Behind it is the train tracks. This is for reference, for context, the new the links coming in here, and here's kind of where the big dig is happening. I'm going to kind of skip ahead a little bit though. Here's my development zone map. You can see this area is contributing. We are actually not doing anything with the building. We're working behind it. This building was previously this was a previous review when it went through RNA and HPZ. This was and you can see the little approval stamp up here just to show you. This was when they did the building. So this was the existing building. Here's the elevations that were approved where they did some work, they being the previous architects and builders, to windows and whatnot. This was all when all the work was done on the original structure. We're not working on the original structure at all. We're kind of constricting ourselves to just this area in the back right here. So let me go back. I just wanted to kind of clarify the previous situation. Let's go back and zoom in a little bit and just a little more clarification to a better Google view. So again, this area in the back right here, it's a utility yard that is just being used for storage. There's just old tables and chairs and things out here. We want to take this area and add some shade structures and turn this into an outdoor eating area. You can see, for context, I have this arrow to the east and to the north. I'm going to show you a little picture of what that looks like. So here's what we're looking at right now. This is from Google Street View. You can see the existing building off to the left in white, and then this 8-foot high steel fence. This is a view from the east looking, sort of from the east looking kind of, or northwestish. Then the other arrow I have indicated looking at it from the back looks like this. So again, very similar, same steel fence, and you can see the building in the background there. So again, going back to previously approved, we are only working in it's mostly an inside project. I'm sorry, guys. We're working in this area here. We want to make it look like this. So if you're looking at the inside of our project, we're turning into, again, there's an outdoor kitchen here, and then a covered shade trellis. So in the back, you can see the remnants of the existing building. And you can see in the on the side here, there's all the existing fencing. We're building out within the constraints of what's existing. I'll show you a quick little. This is a construction drawing, kind of showing you what the site looks like. Right again. So again, existing Bada restaurant, and then our area in the back here. These are the two shade structures that are kind of in gray. So this is the one that faces the street, and this is one that that folks can eat under. But kind of zoom out here, I can show you guys a little view of what it's looking like from the outside. Again, here's the existing building to the left for context. This is the existing fence. We're proposing to repaint it, so it's going to look a little cleaner. And then you can see our structures in the back here. If I go down, I'm going to kind of show you guys this construction drawing because it's kind of hard to understand from the renderings. What you're looking at here, then again, here's the existing building. And then this is the fence, and then you can see our structures in the background here. So the existing building is 20 feet tall, the fence is 8 feet tall, and our structures are in between. This is just kind of how they would sit. We just thought there was a nice progression for how that would go. We pull back, this view here is a little bit further, a little further back. View again with the existing building with some of the modifications that were made with regards to window. And then again, here's us up to the right, not changing anything. We're adding our structure, and then we are cutting a small hole in the fence here to have a takeout window. Those were the things that were talked about that Maria mentioned as far as the conditions. So we're modifying the fence, which didn't seem to be a lot of historic properties necessarily. Jumping back to the inside again, it's mostly an inside project. Again, that's a view you saw before. Here's another view kind of looking back a little further again. For context, there's the existing building in the background. And if you were to go to the other end and look back the other way, similarly, you're looking back and here's the existing building to the right and just all the embellishments. Again, none of this is really historic, just trying to make this a nice outdoor eating space. Landscaping. There's an existing tree we're keeping. We're proposing smaller trees. None of these trees are regulatory. This is just to make this kind of outdoor garden concept that we're looking for. Materials, which you guys are concerned about, right? So here's the existing building, stucco white paint. We're leaving that. There's existing exposed concrete because the building is raised up. That's down below. We're leaving that. So we're adding this, have a little clip up here of the painted structure. So we're trying to keep these structures at minimal. So that they kind of complement the building, don't really compete with it. We're painting them white. And the one roof that's covered gets a metal roof. This wood wall was just some of the decorative features that we're talking about doing in there. So again, kind of going back again, overarching view, take this, turn this into this kind of garden concept, come back up here to the plan again, working within these confines, not doing anything to the building at all. So that was pretty quick. This one was a little simpler than the other one. That's all I have for you guys. You guys can hit me with some questions.
Can you go back to the landscape plan?
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so both of the number 2s and both the 3 of the number 3s are all new trees that you're proposing?
Yeah, exactly. Number 5 is the only existing one. This is labeled 5, but this is a little bit of them. These are new planters. These should actually be number 4. 5 is the existing tree, and all this stuff is new planting. And it's really just most of it is trees and planters, just again to try to be able to create vines and things to grow up and over our trellis and to add try to green this place up a little bit. So yeah, these would be blocking the building a little bit, I guess.
Okay, that looks fine. At first I was thinking they were really close to the building, but you're showing the ramp here.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you've got some distance.
Yeah, so this is an existing, this area here, I should qualify, this is an existing ramp. This is the concrete element. This was a raised ramp because this building is a couple feet taller than this patio. So this is a raised walkway and then out to the street over here. That was what was done in one of the things that happened in the previous historical review was this area here. You can see all the ramps in here at this point in time. That was previously approved. We're not doing anything with that.
Okay. And then the pass-through window that's through the fence, that would be new, correct?
Yeah, so we are taking that existing fence, the idea is we're just cutting a hole in it. And then we're gonna make, the idea was it would be a little pivot window here, so the fence is the window, so it flips up and down. Trying to engage the street, which was part of the Rio Nuevo, the Rio Nuevo ask, is part of their criteria is that we, try to engage, more friendly streets. So this was the way that we were doing that, so that the kitchen serves the inside, but it could also serve the outside too.
Okay. And then my only other question, the larger Ramada, the one, I guess, more towards the west,
Yeah.
that's sloping towards the building, how are you managing the drainage from that?
So this building, the larger structure, it really doesn't have much drainage. It's hard to kind of visualize, but it's open like a trellis, and we're
Oh, I
growing
see.
plants, so yeah, it's really not going to drain. And even though it is sloping towards the building, you're correct. Then this guy over here does have a roof over the kitchen building, and that is sloping to the other direction, towards the fence
Gotcha.
and draining away.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, Jan?
I don't really have any other questions or comments, except to say I appreciate the comments from design review, even though it doesn't really apply to us, but I appreciate the comments that they've made in their recommendation. But I have nothing else to add. Thanks.
Okay, would one of you like to make a motion?
Sure, I can do it.
Great.
Okay, on the matter of TE DEV 0724002007 / SD 0524000050 at 35 East Toole Avenue, I move to approve the project as presented.
Okay,
Second.
Jan, do you second? Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, if not, I'll go ahead and call roll. Terry says aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Okay, it passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, so what happens next on this one? Because we didn't have any additional issues. It just, we're done?
Ms. Majewski, members of the PRS, yeah, that's it. For this RNA review, the applicant just needs the review by the PRS, the DRB for the recommendation, and now it's, gonna be taken to the PDST director for her decision.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I'm signing
Thank
off,
you.
everybody.
Bye, thank
Apologize.
you.
Yes. See you next time.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, let me get back to the screen. Okay, so the next two cases are on properties from the Fort Lowell Historic Preservation Zone. And I think that before I do these, I would like to read into the record the comment that we received from the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation. Did you, Andrew and Jan, did you both receive that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. And I discussed this with Ian Milliken from Pima County, and we have Scott O'Mack, who deals with many historic building type things for the county. I asked him to be on. I may ask him a question or two. So I will read this letter into the record from the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation CEO Deming Klinko. On behalf of the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, we would like to provide comments on the plans for the restoration of the Fort Lowell Commissary, El Cuartel Viejo, and the Donaldson House. The commissary is also known as the Cuartel Viejo. We commend the dedicated work of Poster Myrtle McDonald and the efforts by the City of Tucson and Pima County in advancing the preservation of these significant historic resources that are an essential part of our cultural heritage. That said, we're concerned that these projects have proceeded without site-specific detailed historic architectural reports that included historic preservation plans, historic context, architectural descriptions, detailed evolution of the properties, and defined character features. These essential tools are critical to guide design decisions, define long-term management strategies, and form the basis of an interpretive plan. The absence of such foundational documents leaves a significant gap in the effective stewardship of these buildings, jeopardizing their long-term use and protection. At this pivotal juncture in the restoration and preservation of the Fort Lowell Commissary / El Cuartel Viejo and the Donaldson House, we respectfully request the Plans Review Subcommittee to condition approval of the current plans on the development of a comprehensive historic architecture report for each site. These reports should be developed by qualified historic preservation professionals, include the key elements outlined above, and be formally reviewed by the subcommittee. These reports are essential for guiding future management, development, and preservation efforts, ensuring the long-term protection and sustainability of these historically significant properties. These steps are crucial to ensuring responsible stewardship and safeguarding our tax dollar investment for the benefit of future generations. We appreciate your consideration of this request and your ongoing commitment to preserving Tucson's rich cultural heritage. Now, and I also sent this to Michael Taku and Maria Gayoso. In my discussion with Ian Milliken about this, I just want to bring up a few of his comments for your consideration, Jan and Andrew. The city has approached Fort Lowell in prioritizing economic development and a band-aid approach to conservation with historic preservation as an afterthought. Demian's point is to raise awareness that historic preservation should be the priority and guide its mission in terms of adaptive reuse and preservation of the architectural resources. And I had just wondered about the master plan that we had reviewed years ago that I'm not sure, Jan, you remember, but I know that Andrew wouldn't have been a member of Plans Review then. But I'd asked about the master plan because I hadn't seen it in years. Ian felt that it's outdated because it does not consider the preservation priorities based off of current condition. When the master plan was prepared, almost all the architectural resources were in good condition, which is certainly not the case today. Therefore, the city is implementing a plan based off of the wrong priorities, if they are trying to it. And I will ask Drew about that later. One thing that's kind of important as well, let me just see this other point. Unfortunately, this the comprehensive site assessment of all historic architecture in this area, this master planning area, it falls outside the scope of the city's bond as interpreted by the city. But I think it's appropriate for us to, if we feel that we want to condition any kind of recommendations, we can do so. And then the planning director will do what she will or will not do. And then we can take it up from there, but if we need to. But I mean, it's clear that these buildings are part of a larger entity. It's not quite like reviewing a single property that isn't part of a major effort that's funded by these bonds and so on. So I just wanted to mention that before I call the first case. Okay, 3C is SD 0824-00071, CIP 0324-00003 at 5479 East Fort Lowell Road for rehabilitation of the commissary building. It's a full review in the Fort Lowell Historic Preservation Zone. It's a contributing resource. Staff, do you have background on this?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do. Fort Lowell Historic Zone Advisory Board reviewed this case on August 26, 2024. I did send a copy of the legal action report to you, but I can read into the record the action taken by Fort Lowell in this particular case. In this case, Fort Lowell made a couple of motions and amended them, but the final motion was made by Kuliko to approve the project as presented with the following conditions: that every effort be made to remove the parking from the scope of work until it is clear who the proposed tenants will be and whether parking is even needed for the usage. That the older style of brick with no spacer be provided for the outdoor patio. That the bicycle racks are more aesthetically appropriate to the Fodlo neighborhood. And that a smooth lime finish, more tan than gray color, be proposed for the commissary building. The motion was seconded by co-chair, and the motion passed 4-0. That was the action of Fodlo in this particular case, Madam Chair.
Okay, let's go ahead then with the presentation. Drew, are you doing the presentation?
Yeah, and I'll show my face here for a second. I'm hiding in the back, so I've been not showing my video. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, Drew, I went ahead and made you co-host. You share your screen.
Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Controls out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, may I start?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Drew Cook. I'm with Poster Merkel McDonald, and we're working on the Fort Lowell Commissary project, which also includes the Donaldson. In this presentation, I will show you both buildings, but I'll do the commissary first, pause, take a break for questions and comments, and then go to the Donaldson house. So this project is part of the 407 bond, which is a Parks and Recreation bonds. The money for these bonds are directly associated with both the commissary and the Donaldson house. This is a city park, which is a city building. The city owns it, but it is tied into an IGA, which is an intergovernmental agreement or with Pima County, and their historic department and development department has been overseeing this. I've got Jasmine Chan on the meeting here with us, who may be able to answer questions if we have any, who's representing the city, and then Scott Trombetta, who is with the City Architecture Design Department, and Scott O'Mac, who is with the Historic Department. And I'll just get started here for you. So those of you that aren't familiar, I'll just go through a little background here, but the Fort Lowell area has been inhabited for more than 200 years in Common Era, and it was also the site of early Anasazi, possible Hohokam along the river area. So there's the Hardy site, which is a site of pit houses and Native American, and there's also considered to be sort of the original dump for the ancestral people that live there, basically in the area of where the commissary is. So in 1850s, this was all agricultural area, and then 1860, the Army base moved from downtown Presidio to this area in Old Fort Lowell. They were there roughly from 1960s to the late or mid 1970s, where they abandoned the base and all the structures. So they took the doors and the windows, but left the lintels. I'm not sure about all the roofs. And then in 1940, a man by the name of Charles Bolsius came along and picked up the property and renovated it to what you'll see now. So here we go. So this is our site here. This is Fort Lowell, almost the entirety. It's cut off a little bit. This orchard continues on all the way to the river path. But you can see that number one here is the commissary. That's on the northwest corner of Fort Lowell and Craycroft, and then the Donaldson House, which is on the northeast corner of Fort Lowell and Craycroft, and then Fort Lowell Park as we know it, just below that, and then across the street is considered the Adkins parcel, which has one still standing officers' quarters, and then two sort of ruins that have had shade structures built over them. Start with the commissary. So I'll go over the site overview, and then, you know, the list of issues that were brought up by the historic preservation in Fort Lowell. And just to note, so you know, we've gone through a series of, this would be our 8th meeting. We did 3 neighborhood meetings, 1 courtesy with the Fort Lowell review, 1 full review with Fort Lowell, 1 courtesy with you guys maybe a few months ago, and this is our formal review. And then we also went through a formal historic landscape review, as the neighborhood had identified, you know, the importance of the landscape in this area. So here's the commissary. It originally was the commissary, and it was a U-shaped building here, built out of adobe. I don't know about the missing spaces that you kind of see in this area, whether or not they existed or they had fallen down and never got recreated. There is a root cellar on the northwest side of the building that was, you know, continued the U shape of the original building, and it has an 8-foot cellar that's still there. Unfortunately, the building that stood over it has melted away, and it's one of the issues in our project. So part of what we're addressing is the parking. So currently there are 8 spots here, 6 regular parking spots and 2 handicap spots just south of Fort Lowell. And those are going to be utilized to connect to the commissary. As a part of what we're doing, we've been looking at how to turn this space into a commercial space, as it will act as an auxiliary piece of the park, and it has to function to support the park. So the city's goal is to create it into a space that can have shops, that can have possibly a coffee shop, have events in it, you know, being weddings and birthday parties, and in different events to activate this space that's been sitting since, I think, 2008, empty. A part of the design is to reactivate the patio, and the patio already has, or the courtyard has, quite a bit of walkways already existing with existing plantings. And our intent is to just highlight those walkways and sort of pack them with DG, and then prevent any walking on where the planting is, and to reactivate all the planting. We intend to activate this spaces through, one is a patio here up against what we're calling Unit 1. In Unit 1, we're considering to be the coffee shop. And in front of that, we've offered a back-end parking for utility trucks that may be coming to deliver space for the coffee shop. Again, this is a very small space. It's less than 700 square feet. So it's not gonna have a lot of deliveries to the space. A part of that along the front is there's going to be 3 parking spots. Currently, there's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 parking spots west of where this truck is located. And our goal is to activate 3 of them, possibly 2 20-minute parking spots and 1 ADA spot. In this neighborhood, there are no sidewalks, and it's a part of their design guidelines to not have sidewalks. So they actually have a beautiful DG pathway that runs along Fort Lowell. That's sort of highlighted by trees and small wood, what's the word I'm looking for, bollards to indicate the space. And our design includes this walkway. We have an idea for a speed table. The speed table is going to be provided by the City of Tucson Traffic, so this is not in our scope of work, but we've included it as a part of what we're doing. The walkway will then cross in front of the commissary, come up along, and terminate at Craycroft. In there, we're going to create the entrance to the building at the centerpiece where there's a gate. Unfortunately, you know, its historic elements do not lead way to ADA. So luckily, in the back of most of these buildings has double doors that will allow us to provide ADA access. So our idea is to create the walkway in through the center gate, coming into the spaces, having an ADA path, adding restrooms, which you'll see in the future drawings here, as well as access to all the spaces. In this drawing, you can see the plants that we're intending on bringing in, there was a historic mesquite tree in the middle that had a rock ring. The tree has unfortunately died in the past 6 years. So we plan to keep the rock ring, remove the tree, and find an equally sized tree that could replace it to grow for the future. We also plan on providing 2 trees in these little courtyards. One, we have a hidden courtyard here. We plan on providing a tree with some pavers on the walkway, and it's an open roof, but it has four walls on it. And then the other patio next to what will be the coffee shop with a tree, and then 2 new trees. And the rest of the elements are already existing and will remain. And then along Fort Lowell, we will also provide more greenery to sort of build up the area and not allow cars to park along the area. So one of the questions that we were confronted with Fort Lowell Neighborhood Historic District was the fencing that we planned on providing around the root cellar. Unfortunately, the root cellar is 8 feet deep. We went through a series of ideas and iterations on what we could do inside there. But while we were doing that, we also were going through bidding and cost estimating work projects too. And we realized that we couldn't develop the root cellar in this phase. So our plan is to provide a fence, and these are just some examples of the fences in Old Fort Lowell. And what we've chosen is a fence that's light gauge, that goes across the front, that wraps around. It'll have rebars coming down as pickets. We don't plan on painting it. We're just building kind of the minimal fence that has the lightest touch in the area to just kind of blend in, but provide safety around the root cellar. Working into the courtyard, this is kind of a materials / historic elements sheet here provided by our landscape architect, but there is a historic well that sits inside there, and the well does have a 6-foot in diameter concrete shaft that goes down supposedly 20 feet. We tried to eliminate this well with the city of Tucson, but they asked us not to. It's still a testing site, even though it's not used by the city of Tucson. So our intent is to build a cover over it and then put this well back on top of it. Our well does not look this beautiful anymore, but it's still there. Here's an example of the tree with the ring and the notes, and we plan on keeping this tree ring. I believe the plan is to possibly cut some small holes down lower and then bring the water into the space to gather. Here's some just shots of different places in Tucson for the ideas that we are looking for to provide space in this courtyard with seating and lush trees and plantings. This is our material palette that we've chosen for the courtyard, and we've chosen a permeable block, and this is something we received some pushback from the Fort Lowell neighborhood. But because there was no pavers in the original design, it was all concrete, we've chosen to go with this permeable block, but for 2 reasons. One, it allows the water to pass through it, but it also allows the ground to breathe. So as we put surfaces up against the adobe will require, air to breathe. Otherwise, the water will wick up the side of the adobe. So we've chosen that brick. Here's our decomposed granite pathways that we're intending to install, and drainage steel grates, because we still have a high level of drainage that we need to get away from the buildings and not allow to pool up against the buildings. We're going to build some seat walls. This is actually an existing seat wall, but just an example. And then we had chosen some bike racks because I think we're less than a quarter mile from the river path. And here's an example of the permeable pavers, different choices that we've found. And I think we haven't really picked a color, but we were encouraged by the neighborhood to use a red brick paver, which wasn't original. So we were trying to bring in something that matched and fit in the area, but yet didn't look like it was a historic piece. Here on the right is our bike rack that we had chosen, and it was kind of based on a hitching post. We got some pushback from the neighborhood, but here's some examples of hitching posts that we kind of looked at for the space. They didn't really give us any direction on what they would have liked to see. One of our ideas is maybe we don't paint the bike rack and allow it to rust naturally. So here's some historic photos, just so you guys have an idea of what the original commissary look like. And then the center here is Charles Bolsius's wife, helping carve all the wood panels for the doors and the cabinetry. And this place is very lush in its historic richness with the wood carvings. Every door is a hand carved door. Every piece of cabinetry is hand carved. Every baluster or element you find inside the space was hand carved by them with a very distinct look. And we have no intention to change any of these elements. As a matter of fact, it feels like every move that we make inside the building is kind of a detriment to the building. So we've been very cautious in working with neighbors and people who are familiar with the building to come up with our future design here. And here's some front photos. Here's a picture of the well down here in the bottom left corner. These are photos of the building before it was stuccoed. And then above that is stuccoed in, I'm guessing this is in late 1940s, early 1950s photos. So you can see this is along Fort Lowell, and that the original landscaping was kind of a 50s style. So here is a legend plan of the building, just so everyone's familiar of how it works. So the unit 1, which is the light blue here, is going to be the cafe, and it has 2 rooms. And then our plan is to change one of the bathrooms here. So originally it was 1 bathroom with a little closet. We're going to open that up and turn it into 2 bathrooms. Unit 2, we have no plans to change anything, just bring in new electricity and plumbing, HVAC. The only loss that we'll have is where the shower was, which is a small step-in shower. We intend to put the hot water heater. The air conditioning units will fit inside the closets, is sort of the language that we've developed. Unit 3, this was the smallest unit, and it actually incorporated this small green space here. This was a bathroom and a kitchenette and a closet. And because we don't have any ADA bathrooms, and the vast majority of the spaces in this building are not ADA, we have chosen to, renovate this space and make it our ADA bathroom, as well as an ambulatory restroom. I'll have a small vestibule. This door here we will have to change to make it ADA. It's currently, I think, 32 inches wide, and we have some ideas on how we're going to do that. And the original space had a doorway passing through. We are closing that up, and we're building 2 small closets, 1 HVA for unit 4, and then there'll be an HVA system inside here to power both the bathroom and the unit. Unit 4, again, no changes. We have made a decision to remove the sinks in all of the units except for unit 1 in the kitchen. So we'll leave the original cabinets and just provide a solid surface countertop, as we don't know what these spaces will be in the future. There may be a bookstore, there may be a jewelry store, or an art gallery. And then unit 5, the intention is just to kind of leave it the same as it is. We feel that that would be the space for weddings and different events that they could set up in here. This can be a space for a bride to get prepared, space for a groom, a space to set up. Yeah. So here's the floor plans, just so you can get a better look at what we're intending to do. Again, unit 1, 2 new bathrooms. Unit 2, we're intending no change. Unit 3, this is probably the largest amount of change, with its 2 mechanical closets, and then converting the bathroom kitchenette into 2 ADA bathrooms. Unit 4 and Unit 5. So one of the changes here, and this is showing in the new ADA bathroom, this door is not big enough, and our intention is just to widen the door enough to make the door ADA accessible. Our plan is to utilize the door that is there, or swap out one of the doors in a different part of the building that may separate a bedroom, where we could use the door that's 36 inches on the exterior door here. But our other plan is just to extend the door and have a craftsman make it a little bit bigger, and leave everything as is. Second big change we're planning here for the building is, this is unit 5, and here is a modern photo taken, I think, in 2016, and here is a historic photo. We don't know the date, but you can see that the spaces have not changed at all. But one thing that Charles Wolfius had done is he had cut holes in the wall to bring swamp coolers in, or evaporative coolers. So our plan is for this space to utilize that penetration and build a small closet on the outside. So you can see here's the existing swamp cooler on the outside, right at the side of that window. Our intention is to build a small mechanical closet, put a vertical air handler in there, and then utilize that already existing penetration and put one more in there for a return, and then plaster it to match the building. So that's the only large exterior change that we're proposing in the majority of the project. Here's the current existing finish of the building. It is a series of patches and work over almost 80 years. Here, historic photo of it originally when it was finished. As you can see, there's no landscaping. We're kind of under the assumption it was some sort of white, cream, tan color, as it is now. Now, inside all of the porches that are covered, there's a blue finish, and this is actually our intention is to either preserve it or try to match it into the future. And we've recently received some photos, some historic photos of the building. You can see how rich the blue was. So we have a better idea of what the blue color was in this, I believe, was maybe the 80s or 90s in these photos. And then this is kind of a color chart. We're just showing you an example of what we're up against and how we're going to have to go through a series of iterations to discover the colors for the space. One of the last exterior changes on the commissary that we have is lighting. And this is the light that we have chosen. It's a full cutoff, which follows the dark sky ordinance. And then this is an example of a project we use the same light on. It's down in the barrio on Simpson and Meyer. It's the Simpson row house. And we use this series of lights. I think there's 3 in the front and 3 in the back. And then I'll stop there and we'll do questions for the commissary.
Okay, thank you, Drew. Just one thing I wanted to clarify. You keep referring to the neighborhood. It's the Fort Lowell Historic Zone Advisory Board. It's not the neighborhood. So in the future, I just wanted to say that for the record, and for future discussion, let's use the advisory board instead of the neighborhood. Does it make sense? Because they're two. Yeah, they're two separate things. So you already presented to them. Okay, so Jan or Andrew, do you want to begin with questions?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
Generally, everything looks pretty good to me. I'm excited to see this building be activated again. I think that's a huge part of preservation is, finding new uses and finding ways to keep things alive. So commend you guys for the work you're doing. On the only thing I really flagged on I guess you would call it your wedding venue, the northwest portion, yeah, with the AC.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what the parapet height is above that roof? Generally, I know it's steps, but I'm wondering how much
Yeah,
distance you
they're
have.
not high. It's so along the south edge is the highest point for this section of the building, and the parapet in most spaces is less than a foot. And on this section, this is the high line, and it's pretty low too. So it's more exposed to Craycroft as you drive along.
Okay.
We definitely tried hard to not put air conditioning units on the roof.
Yeah, totally
We
agree.
battled trying to fit them in the spaces without damaging the spaces.
Yeah.
So
my only concern here, I get wanting to use the existing opening, but by adding that closet there, next to that buttress on the window, I feel like the form of that buttress is and the distinctness of it is going to be muddled, to a degree by being tied into this other structure. And I'm also wondering, once that ductwork enters the building, do you have an idea of how that's going to be run? I'd imagine it'd be exposed.
no, there'll be no ductwork. it'll just be a straight
Sure.
grill, supply grill right into the building. And
Okay.
I'll kind of expand on this. So the reason we chose this corner is you can't see it from the street or anywhere unless you're on the north side. It's the most covered by plants, and we felt that this existing, CMU stand with this evaporative cooler will actually, I think ours will be about the same size but less distance pushing away from the building. And then our plan is just to plaster it the same as the building, so it sort of blends in. But of course, I think we'll end up using, a joint expansion between the building and this auxiliary structure so that it identifies as a different space. So if
Okay.
somebody comes along and looks at it, they'll understand. They're like, okay, there's a joint wrapping around this edge and it doesn't show anywhere else.
Okay. Did you all look at possibly trying to do this on the courtyard side? Like
Well,
it looks like there's some little kind of
yeah,
enclosure wall out there.
the courtyard's pretty. It's not changing over here. Sorry, I have a presentation mode back here. There we go. So the courtyard is kind of the majestic piece of this, and we've been asked by both the neighborhood and people involved in this project to preserve this and make it, the sacred space. So, these are all porches that look out into the courtyard and across the courtyard and at the mountains. Same with the spaces over here and anywhere inside this courtyard. Our proposed structure is right here. You can see the swamp cooler and it's tucked behind here. So that was our biggest choice. There is a really nice garden sort of area that's along here. As you can see, it reaches well over the property line. So we chose not to put anything in here. And this has some serious potential for future development. If this space takes off and becomes really activated, this can easily be cleaned up and be added into more patio area.
Okay. And then I presume you're probably going to have to cut another hole in that wall for a return,
Yes.
since it'll be okay. And that would just
Yeah.
be essentially same deal, but just down low.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thanks for walking me through the approach.
Yeah,
I think
trust me,
I think it makes sense.
It's painful for me to put holes in the building. So yeah, there we go.
No, I got you. It's HVAC's always a struggle when it was,
Yeah,
never
and-
designed for it.
And the whole building has this ceiling with very, very limited crawl space. So we wouldn't be able to run as ducks in there if we wanted to.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. And then the other question I had on the group of the public restrooms where you have the ADA and the ambulatory, and you're going to replace that door. What is the floor structure in there? Is that a wood, like a
No,
framed
it's all-
floor?
It's all
It's all
concrete. And we're
Okay.
gonna, in all the bathrooms except for one of them, we're gonna end up pulling the concrete because we scoped the sewers at this point and we know that coming out of the building, they're cast iron and they're not in good shape. And then at some point they connect to a clay pipe, which is in not that bad of shape. So
Yeah.
we're not, a lot of this is in our drawings, we're showing new, but a lot of this is up in the air. We may find some of the piping, some in the building could be copper, and we may choose not to replace that and just replace, the home runs to those spaces. But as we know from the electricity's been direct buried in the wall and it doesn't have a shield or conduit. So we're gonna have to go through and replace all the electrical.
So on this door, you mentioned possibly modifying it, but you're talking about widening the actual structural opening, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are doors that separate rooms throughout the building, and depending on how they're used, it may make sense for us to take one of those doors and swap it out with this door. And then, the other possibility is with this door that we may just cut a, 2-inch strip and somehow attach it to the door, you know, kind of a permanent way. So if it needs to be removed in the future, it can be, but distinctly shows that it's not a part of the door.
Okay.
The
I was
doors
just
are
wondering-
a real concern. I didn't include photos in here. I tried to pare this down because we're at 50 slides, and yeah.
I got you. This is a hand carved door as well, or is this just more of a normal door?
Every single door is hand carved, and if it isn't hand carved, it's wood plank assembled.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Sounds reasonable to me. I think that's all the questions that I had. Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
Okay, Jan?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I really appreciate the comment letter we got from the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, and also Terry, having chatted with Ian too, a little more about the history and kind of perspective on the approach. I guess I'm hoping that we can consider both the comment from Ian and the letter in our motion making. But in that regards, to Andrew's question about the HVAC, is there a reason it has to be elevated on those CMU blocks as you've got it? I mean, seems like if it were lower profile with maybe a plenum or something, it would be less.
So this is a evaporative cooler, and this is
Right.
what's here. We didn't build this. This is
Got it.
original.
Well,
Our intention
by
is
original,
to-
you mean,
whoever one of the owners was before the city had it.
right.
Because
I think-
remember, this building was abandoned, was falling apart, and Charles
Right.
Bolsius picked it up in 1940s. He did more of a Santa Fe revival, which is not really seen here in Tucson. And you can really see it on the interior, sort of the nichos and the different elements that he incorporated. He built a fireplace in every one of the units, which they never had fireplaces. So really, this isn't a Fort era building. This is a Bolsius era building.
Right, right.
And he not only did the commissary, but there's also what we call the Sackheim House, which is the post-trader stores to the east of it. And then there's his original house, the Bolsius House, which is tucked in the back corner of the commissary. It's owned by a private family, but they have an easement for their driveway on the commissary property.
Right.
So, but just to track back, the plan is just to build a small closet that's on the exterior. You can't even see it looking out these windows. Instead of the original design was to build the closet inside here in this corner. And then we finally were like, you know what, it'd be way better if it was outside. It doesn't ruin the space, and it's in a hidden space. At least that was our logic.
Yeah. Well, and there's I guess 2 points I was trying to get to. One is because there hasn't been this review, it's kind of like, so what is the status of that CMU? I mean, does it need to be there? Your closet, we don't know what your closet looks like. There's no plans. It's just, it's going to be kind of
It's
what's
this right
there,
here.
but less, yeah.
No. This will go away. It'll be
Okay.
a wood frame. It'll be a wood framed closet that sits on a slab. It'll have a sloped roof here. You can see in that elevation. And then it will more than likely have a metal door on it because we've gotten a lot of vandalization on this backside.
Yeah.
So
So
it'll be
it's-
an enclosed space with a vertical air handler.
Okay, got it. So when Andrew was asking you, all you said was, oh yeah, we're going to enclose it right there, but not, oh, we're removing the CMU. You see what I mean? Because you don't have any.
My
plans.
apologies. So yes, this will be removed. All of the evaporative coolers have been removed or detached from the building, except for this one and one other on the west unit. And then our intention is to pour a slab here in this location, frame up a small mechanical closet that will then be plastered to match the building. And there'll be a vertical air handler inside there
Okay.
with both a supply and return on that interior wall.
Okay, so is there a reason that we don't have plans for stuff like this?
This is the plan right here.
Got it. Okay, so there's no,
This
no
is
profile
this is-
view. Okay, got it.
This would be, well, yes, don't have a
Okay,
profile.
so, okay,
This is the
sorry, I was
elevation.
distracted by you kept pointing to the photo. Okay, got it. Okay,
Will there be more notes on the plans, or are there notes on the plans that we're not seeing because you pulled them for the presentation, or?
Yeah,
it
I
just seemed
cleaned these
really
all up.
minimal.
I
You
cleaned,
don't need to
these
bring
are
them up,
just-
but there need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be full notes for this, and yeah.
you guys should have been provided the CD set.
Usually we can't read them because they're in that weird online format, so they're like minuscule. And
I
it's
keep
some,
hearing that from you guys. Yeah, okay.
yeah, it's really awful.
Right, and so you're not gonna use evap coolers again, hopefully,
No,
because
They're not.
of the damage to the Adobe from water, it's bad.
well, that and they take a lot of maintenance every year. They have to be
Oh, I
taken
know,
care
yeah.
of. And of
I had them
course,
in my old house.
in peak summertime, it won't make these spaces usable.
Cool at all? No.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that because it really
Yeah,
wasn't
I
when you were
apologize.
walking through it before. And then there's some more HVAC around kind of in the middle of the unit that you've got kind of interior.
Yeah, so what we did is we slipped them in the bathroom. So in this bathroom, there was a large kind of step-in tub and a shower. And we've put the HVAC and the electrical panel in here. And then the same for the bathroom in unit 4. It was a step-in shower with a sink and a toilet. And again, because we have to redo the plumbing on all of these, we've chosen to remove the floors in them. And then we're going to put a small mechanical closet in this bathroom. Unit 3, we've designed sort of 2 mechanical spaces inside the room that just kind of cut it off, so it feels like it's one room, kind of with a little cubbied door. And then same situation in unit 2. We just put the mechanical unit in the closet, the existing closet, and then turn the existing shower into the hot water heater. And our plan is to keep this bathroom as is. And I didn't include the photos in here just for time's sake, but the bathrooms are kind of funky with a very distinct tile. And, this particular one has a pink bathtub and a pink sink and a pink toilet. And so we're hoping that we can access the plumbing and fix it without having to tear the whole space apart. And then again, in this unit, we're actually going to create 2 restrooms, which will then, all of these restrooms will bring the entire site to code for what is needed for restrooms.
And then what you're
And-
saying
Go
with
ahead.
all those HVACs, they'll just vent directly out with the grate or something. You don't have plenums or any other.
No, yeah. So in some cases, the return might be down low on the floor, depending on how the
Right.
space is set up, and the mechanical engineer figured it out. And in other cases, like in this building, there's already an existing soffit, and so we're hoping to attach into that existing soffit and activate the existing vents that are in this building. In like unit 2, we can actually penetrate through all these walls, and I believe this wall here is a framed wall. So some walls are Adobe and some are framed, and that's what we're kind of taking advantage of in these locations too.
Okay, and the ADA bathroom on the inside of the courtyard, that's a new room or an old room?
That is an existing building there was a bathroom here, a closet, and a little kitchenette. So it just had like a sink, a small stove, and I think the refrigerator kind of sits in the way of where the door is.
Okay, I think all of these changes individually seem relatively small and like you've thought them through, but it seems like without having the more complete study that's being requested about kind of what was what, it's
Well,
As Ian
again,
said, you're kind of band-aiding it.
we provided you with the complete CD set that shows you all the demolition and the existing conditions as well as the new work. I wouldn't say we're band-aiding it. I think we're carefully adding modernity to the space. Because
So you,
without HVAC, these spaces
Right,
could
right,
not
right.
be utilized. Without ADA access, these spaces cannot be utilized. And there's bigger problems here of all the doorways, because in the unit 1 here, every doorway has a wood threshold that doesn't meet an ADA code. So we're gonna have to do a lot of work on how we, put a threshold in these spaces, what kind of sweep is on the door. There's in some of these spaces, like for instance, unit number 4 may not meet ADA code in some cases.
right, I totally get it, and you guys are doing the best you can, but without that background work, you don't have that context to consider in doing the rest of your work. So some of the things that are called out in the letter, the historic context, the architectural descriptions, the character defining features, you may have some of those in your head, but it hasn't been fully accounted for, and kind of, at least to the extent we've been told, the work hasn't been conducted, and then your work isn't being carried out in that context.
Or it may be sort of intuitively because of the way
It's behind the scenes, but it's not
right.
documented.
But the point is, Jan, when this whole project, the bond project, was conceptualized, and the park is clearly conceptualized as a group of buildings. This isn't like a standalone building that is just a house in Fort Lowell.
Totally get it.
Right. And so I think that it's not really PMM's fault that the city has band-aided it.
Absolutely. No, I think they're doing a great job with what they've been handed. But it would be nice if we could ask the city for more.
And ask for a decision, because we're going to hear some, great plans for rehabilitating the Donaldson House. But I think what we need to do is put forth a motion that requests this study to provide the context for the development of all the buildings in this park, and then get the city and county to talk about this, because they have an IGA. What would this look like? And yes?
I was going to say, just another comment is typically those, what is being requested, which is completely logical, but typically those are developed or done for like a landmark. So this is more of and the concerns are with it is that this is the approach on this building is taking different pieces sort of out of the Secretary of Standards, where we're restoring the exterior, but we're kind of, renovating and modernizing some of the interior. And because the interior has such rich historic characteristics, I think the interior is probably more important than the exterior, because
right, but that's fine. But the fact is that the city owns these buildings. There's no comprehensive plan for the use. There's no plan for continued maintenance, how all the pieces interact with each other in terms of the commercial development. And probably the Atkins property was sort of sidelined, and it's in terrible shape because it would be harder to bring back up. So it's, on all the major federal projects I've done, and you've probably done a lot of projects yourself where you had to actually have plans and, come up with, how is this building going to be used? And, at least have some reporting on it. I mean, all we have are these drawings that we can't even read.
And that's on the city and county. It's not on you.
No, yeah. And we're not blaming you. The point is that we need to have, that needs to be added to the motion to make the city discuss this with the county and get with the program for these kinds of comprehensive reviews. And I'm sorry that's my opinion. So, I mean, if we
I'm
Yeah,
not against your opinion at all. So,
well, I mean, and again, we can make this recommendation and the head of development services can do whatever is desired, right? But that doesn't mean we'll stop. I mean, I would be willing to contest the case because
Hi,
this is just too much.
this is Corky Poster. I'm sorry that I'm late. I'm on the Rio Nuevo board and we had an official meeting until just now. I think I want to just point out that this project is not new to this review process. This has really been going on for about 3.5 years. And we have brought to you on various occasions the project both to the 3 times to the Fort Lowell group and probably an equal number of times to the PRS committee. We think we have this right. We think we've listened to everything we've heard. We are coming to you through the auspices of the HPZ. What I'm concerned about is that if not proceeding with this project now will delay the project by 2, 3, 4 months, and we come back to you in 2 or 3 or 4 months, having done what you asked and coming back with an identical set of recommendations and identical set of drawings. All we've succeeded in doing is keeping this from being activated for an additional 3 or 4 months on top of the 5 or 6 years that it's been empty. And
Well, Corky, did you see the letter that you heard the letter be read into the record?
yes, I saw Damien's letter. Correct.
Okay, so this isn't on you. This is on.
No, I'm not.
This is sort of a reaction to things that have been repeated requests to the city to deal with the properties that it's required to deal with.
Right. I'm trying not to be defensive, and I'm sorry if I come
know-
across that way. I just think we're going to just simply lose 4 months and be back exactly where we are with this set of drawing 4 months from now.
Terry, are you still on? You are cutting out. Damien has his hand up.
I don't think Terry's on.
That's she cut out when she was talking.
I'll be right back. Hold on. Hold on.
Do we still have quorum?
Well, she's
Hold on.
back.
I'm back.
She's coming back. We didn't do anything without Terry.
Okay. That was just like 60 seconds or less. I was gone. So anyway, that's my take on it. PRS members can make a motion that can be voted up or down and see what we do from there.
Can I ask a question of Drew and of Corky? So in terms of timeline, how far out, assuming this is approved today, how far out do you predict you are from start of construction?
I would guess 6 weeks.
6 weeks. Okay.
This will be permitted through Pima County. They have, I don't know, 98% set of drawings. If they go to permit and if they do a public or a qualified bid concurrent with the permitting process, we could be 6 weeks from the start of construction.
Okay. And then I saw Demian had his hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna call on him when Corky finished.
I'm curious to what the timeline would be if we conditioned the approval you know, on the performance of the, I forget the term exactly you used, but the historic evaluation of all the sites,
Yeah,
what the
so
timeline for that
comprehensive
process would
historic
be.
architectural report for each site.
Yeah, what would the timeline be for something like that?
So Chairman Majewski, if
Go ahead.
yeah, so I really want to be very clear. Like my intention, and certainly the intention of this letter, is not to slow or stop the permitting of this project. These buildings have been neglected for almost 20 years by the city of Tucson because of the conditions of the site and what's happened. So, you know, I mean, they are adobe. Every season that has gone by, there's been a continued deterioration from water infiltration and rain and a whole host of other things. I am raising this issue because there has really not been an inflection point where there is an opportunity for an entity to really request this type of mechanism to be able to support these buildings, not just now, but in the future. After this project finishes, the city's issued an RFP that's currently being evaluated. There will be some sort of user and how these buildings are going to be cared for and what happens when those users' needs change. And somebody's coming back through this process and asking for more alterations and more changes there, because there was a lack of sort of context for this. There isn't really, certainly the Donaldson House, there's very little documentation to be able to provide interpretive planning or interpretive tools afterwards. So, you know, I would really encourage the committee not to stop the recommendation of approval, but maybe put it conditionally on this being done, and maybe saying that like certificate of occupancy can't be issued until after this is completed, or some other like sort of an inflection point. But I think completing this type of work is critical, and it should be in standard practice in the city. And it's frustrating that it was never sort of comprehensively done in a way that could have informed this project or will inform this project in the future after this work is done. And as I said at the beginning of the letter, you know, I really commend Poster Frost McDonald on a Poster Murto McDonald. I'm sorry about the wrong name. I really commend their work on this project, because I think they've been very, very thoughtful and really trying to be attentive to all of these needs. But having these types of tools at the beginning would have made this project, I think, much smoother, and it would have actually made the design process go faster. So again, that's sort of my thoughts on it, but I leave it to your board.
Thank you, Demi. Was that you, Andrew?
Yeah. Okay. So I totally understand this from, you know, Demian's side and, you know, everyone involved. I'm afraid that if we do condition a C of O or anything that's gonna have, you know, an impact on the construction progress for this, that, you know, it may kill the project, and this just may sit here for years and years more. And I would hate to, you know, to do that, but I don't know that, you know, maybe if we do condition it, that's enough of a fire lit under the city to, you know, get their act together and, you know, and do the work that they need to do. But is there another way, do you think, that we can achieve that without, you know, throwing a conditional hurdle in the way of PMM here? Is this something we could agendize for the next larger commission meeting, and, you know, have a vote and, you know, direct city staff to do this?
Well, I think it needs to be a condition of our motion, and maybe state that our intent is not to hold up the permitting for these needed repairs, and then you know, recommend that the city and county meet to see how this planning could be resourced and you know, in the future for other projects in this area, other buildings, but also that this could be almost a retroactive process in terms of having a different record, a different report of the work and how it was conceptualized.
Yeah.
Because you know that PMM went through and considered all these things, because I've seen these work on many other projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And so I think we need to say it. And again, we make a recommendation. If we get the director's decision letter and they completely ignored it, I think we continue to bring it up. And, you know, there's county staff on here. They know what we're thinking. Ian's totally behind it, this kind of supporting this kind of work. And the county does a lot more of this when they're working on things than the city has ever done on these projects. And these are major, and it's like I said, it's not a standalone thing. And, you know, Corky, you guys did the master plan years ago, right?
Yes, we did the master plan and we did a preservation plan for the Atkins parcel as well.
And so, you know, I think really get up to speed on the reporting, maybe leave it up to the county and city to come up with the appropriate kind of report that deals with all the things mentioned in this letter. I mean, I think we have to make a stand. It's our purview and our job to comment when preservation isn't going correctly in the city. And again, that's not your fault, Corky. It's not your fault with your firm's fault. You know, it's and it wasn't built into the bond funding, so it would have to be resourced somehow.
I guess
go ahead.
One option, if we're, you know, concerned about holding up this schedule, and I totally get that and respect that, is whether we would want the city or the city and the county to come back to either PRS or the full commission and set a date that's not like out 100 months in the future, but whether it's, you know, a month from now or the next meeting, or it shouldn't be that hard to at least come back to us with a concept of a plan and some steps for committing to moving forward.
Yeah, well, I suggest that we do that as part of PRS, and then we can bring it to work on sort of the details, and then bring it to the full commission when appropriate.
Because otherwise it could just languish. I mean,
yeah. So
yeah,
the motion needs to say that. And I mean, we're almost at 3:30 here, and I don't know if we can get to these next two cases, frankly. So I don't know. What does everyone think? We don't have a motion on this yet. So are we ready to make a motion or talk through what a motion would look like?
Yeah, I'm thinking if the way that we word the condition would be that maybe the city needs to commission a comprehensive historic architectural report prior to the issuance of a C of O, and that gives them a window where they need to officially start this project or put out, you know, a request for it from different firms, and then that process can happen kind of independently of, you know, their inspections and their final C of O to get this scope of work done.
Right, and I think we need to say that they need to develop the scope in conjunction with the county, frankly, who has more seasoned historic preservation professionals who have on their staff who have worked on these types of projects.
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can I suggest maybe can we do a two-part motion? The first motion that will just be concerning the rehabilitation and whatever work is proposed here as one motion, and then do a second motion that will talk about this comprehensive review and requirements that you're talking about.
I think it would be useful to bundle them.
I do too.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'm in agreement with both of you, Jan and Terry, and I think you're both probably can format this better than I, so I'll leave it to you.
Do you want to give it a shot, Jan, what it might sound like?
I was thinking this might be the exception where we defer to you, Terry.
Well, you could make the motion on, are we in agreement on as presented for the suggested rehabilitation?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And then we could say, and that we don't want to hold up the permitting of this project but we would like to condition certificate of occupancy for a study to be conducted between as soon as possible and be required before the certificate of occupancy is issued, to create a comprehensive historic architectural report for this property, and then ostensibly when we get to the Donaldson House too, and that the scope of this be developed between the city and county, and that it be resourced. We understand that it's not part of the bond, so it needs to be resourced separately for all the buildings in the Fort Lowell area.
Yeah.
As a model for future work when you have parks like this or groups of buildings, something like that. That's what I would.
And that's where, I mean, I could try doing that, Terry, but I do think there are exceptions, and this may be one where you've got a little better handle on the precise wording. I could certainly try running through it, but.
Yeah, why don't you just try based on what I said, and I'll fill in if I need to.
Okay. Now I have to find my various. On the matter of SD 0824-00071, CIP-0324-0004003, 5479 East Fort Lowell Road, the rehabilitation of the commissary building. We recommend approval as presented, subject to the development of a comprehensive historic architectural report for each site within the district that is, excuse me, to be commissioned by the city in consultation with the county on the scope of work. Okay, Terry.
I would say, and that scoping and completion of the report not hold up permitting for the current project for the commissary building.
And I guess we could, oh, go ahead.
And that it must be completed before the certificate of occupancy is issued.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
And
maybe
that's
just,
go ahead.
just so it's incorporated, as noted in the letter that, kind of some statement to the effect that these reports are essential for guiding future management, development, and preservation efforts, ensuring the long-term protection and sustainability of these historically significant properties. I think it's important to have kind of some of that background in the motion, so the director has it in front of her, I guess, as part of our motion, our recommendation.
Right. Okay, I think that could be the motion. So Andrew, do you second that if Jan made it?
Yes, a second.
Okay, is there further discussion? Okay, if not, let's go. Andrew, do you vote? What do you vote?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Terry votes aye. Okay, 3-0. So let me just bring this up now because it's so late. Michael and Maria, do we want to try to have another meeting fairly soon before our next meeting, possibly to take the next two cases?
We can do that, Madam Chair. Just depends if the three of you will have a quorum that day.
If I have time to go long today, I don't know what everyone else's
I
constraints
really
are.
can't. I can't go
Okay.
long.
I'm
Okay.
fried, if you can't
Yeah.
tell.
And I think that we will be able to move fairly quickly
Yeah.
on these others. We already determined that we could not meet this Thursday, correct? But what about the following week? Well, we could
Looking-
come back to that. I mean, how do you
Yeah.
want us to handle this? If we're not gonna handle these two, three
Can
D
we
and
do,
three
can
E?
we do October 10th, October 3rd? Next week.
Oh, that's when we were gonna have a backup for this meeting,
Yeah, that's
for
what,
the 26th.
yeah, that's
we
what.
do
I'm
that?
thinking that day,
Could we do the 10th, all of us?
Or the 3rd.
the 3rd.
It seems
Oh, the
like
3rd.
since the three of us have struggled through this, we might as well
Yeah,
just.
yeah, I can do the 3rd.
Yes, I can do the, yeah.
I mean, if somebody else can make it, great, but
Can
Well,
you,
I think we should do the 3rd, and then if there's a third case you could get on, but don't pile any more than that on.
no, yeah, because then we have a meeting on the 10th already, so, yeah.
yeah, we'll do the 3rd just to complete these other cases. I'm not going, I'll probably dump in one more, but we already have a meeting that is scheduled for the 10th, so we should be fine on the 3rd.
Yeah,
So
and
we have-
please don't put any of the revised historic district guidelines on.
No, no.
No. Okay,
Um,
so
So, Madam Chair, let me just say one thing. If you have probably like about 5 or another 5 or 10 minutes, there is a project that requires, there's a roof that is leaking. The last item on this agenda, can we please just look at that? It's probably going to take about 5 or 6 minutes. Can we do that, please?
okay, and then so let's I'm sorry, Drew and Corky, we're just gonna have to, because we can't fully do this justice in 5 minutes. The Donaldson House. So that one, I'm gonna say 3D will be moved to October 3rd.
Yes.
Oh, at 1 o'clock, right?
That's okay with us.
Okay, and
Thank you.
then we'll go with 3E, but it really has to be quick. Okay?
Yes. Charles, just please be very quick. It's just
Okay,
a
let me call the
courtesy.
case. Let me call the case first. We'll move on to 3E, which is TPPRE 0924/CIP-0824-00029 at 325 West Second Street. This is for Dunbar Pavilion Rehabilitation Project, roof repairs only. It's only a courtesy review. It's in the John Spring National Historic District. It's an individually listed property, and we use the rehabilitation standards. So we're just going to give Charles some
Yes.
feedback
Just-
on this.
Yes,
Correct.
and can I share my screen, please?
Maria, you want to make him coach?
Just give me a second.
In the meanwhile, in preparation for this, I did go back and look at my emails, and from Jody, I have an email specifically that says, so as noted previously, the property is not HL/HPZ, no requirement for the PRS review. And so we are here because the property has a county-held preservation easement, conservation easement on the facade. And a requirement of that is this review. She then did say, which I think maybe got lost in the shuffle, that to quote Jody's note, we can put it through formal review, so there's an official decision letter for the record, and then this will ultimately need to go to Ian Milliken and possibly coordination with SHPO. I'm wondering, it's still going to be, I think, just as short, but would it be possible to get a decision letter related to this as part of this conversation?
No action is going to be taken from this meeting. When I spoke with you, we scheduled this for a courtesy review, so we're not
Right.
going to get an action from this board for you to think of it. If we want to do that, we can schedule that for another meeting.
But is that because it's the county?
Yeah.
County building,
I
is
don't
that why?
Right. Well, yeah, they hold the conservation
So-
easement.
Right, and yeah, and
So
this
I-
is International Historic District, so we normally wouldn't do it unless they would come to us for a courtesy, which they rarely
Yeah.
do.
So that's
Right.
why we're doing a courtesy, so we
We're
wouldn't.
doing
do
it
no
because
matter
it's a
what.
county
Yeah.
easement.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead with that, and hopefully we can just make it
We
work
can,
based on.
yeah.
whatever. I just wanted to make a note of that in case it mattered at the forefront. But otherwise, I am ready to go into turbo mode here.
Okay.
So exhibits.
We're trying to make you co-host.
You can.
Oh, I think it's good.
Can you guys see my screen?
No, it's coming.
There you go.
Okay.
There it is.
Great. So today we are talking about the historic Dunbar School building here. The Dunbar Pavilion is comprised of two buildings. The Western building, building number 1, is not part of this conversation. We are talking specifically about the historic Dunbar School building. Just for the tiniest amount of context, the building is on the register as the Paul Lawrence Anderson School. Paul Lawrence Dunbar School. And you can see here a handful of historic images. I think probably most people are aware of this building. I'm just going to speed through. We are today joined by Frida Marshall, who is the executive director of the Dunbar as well, if she's held on to the call. So just for the record. So on or around July 14th, the building sustained storm damage to the roof, which you can see here, that the replica historic tiles, which are a GAF product that was installed in about 1998, was damaged by hail. These were a replica of historic asbestos tiles, and neither the asbestos tiles or the replicas are manufactured anymore, and a like-for-like material cannot be had really at any cost. And so the as a result of this damage, an insurance claim has been made, and that is moving along nicely. And so my goal here today is to present 3 possible options for roofing for commentary for this building. As we are still negotiating with the insurance, we do not know exactly which material potentially will fit within the budget. And so my hope would be that sort of these 3 alternate materials I'm going to present could be considered as 3 acceptable options for this project without us having to come back once a selection is made. Very extremely brief context here. Here is the Dunbar School, and I've highlighted a handful of projects here. There are a number of contributing historic buildings which have a variety of different types of roofing, including replacement metal roofing, as well as asphalt shingle roofing.
Your screen, but we don't hear any sound.
You're not hearing? Are you not hearing me?
No, we're hearing you.
I'm hearing you.
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
Here is a roof plan of the building. And so what we are talking about today is the portion is highlighted in yellow. It is a character defining aspect of the building. And so we are proposing to replace all of the yellow highlighted material with a different roofing material, which I will now go into the 3 options. Here's the existing gutter condition. It is worth noting that the material that is currently installed, the fiber cement material, is quite flat and does not have much of a profile at the entry to the gutter. And all of these concepts, we would like to maintain the gutter in its current configuration. So number 1.
Your screen then. I'm gonna do it.
Sorry, are we experiencing a problem? Should I pause or?
She's the one sharing the screen, not me.
Okay. Yeah, just unplug them.
Yeah, we can hear, you guys, we can hear you, Michael. So, okay, go ahead, Charles.
Okay, I will keep going. So option number 1, and again, these are presented maybe in reverse order of preference, but sort of with the understanding that the reality of the insurance money available may limit our options. And so asphalt shingles in a terracotta color, there's a wide variety of manufacturers here, and a wide variety of colors that we should be able to match the historic red color of the faux asbestos tile pretty carefully. Number 2 would be a standing seam metal roof. as seen here, which we will be able to match that color exactly, as there's obviously color matching ability on metal Kynar finishes here. And then number 3 is a product which is manufactured to this day, which is a similar diamond product, very similar in a lot of ways. It's perhaps not exactly the same size. We would be able to get a color match. There are challenges related to this product, which is that it's only manufactured in Canada, and that this may end up being prohibitively expensive for the project. And so, as I promised, that's pretty short. I would be curious to hear commentary on these 3 options. But before that,
Charles, could you go back to the picture and show us the roof of the school currently, and what exactly, would it be the whole roof or just that portion?
So what we're seeing here, it would be any and all portions of this red tile material here. And so as you go around the building, you can see here that this piece has been tarped. And so it is the entire roof. Back to the historic, some of this, so you can see it here in this historic image. It would be all of the sloped roof material and everything that's sort of pictured here in this view.
Yeah. Well, my take is that the metal roof is entirely inappropriate, but that's just my take. And I like the Canadian version of those, but I understand the cost issue. And my least favorite, you know, the smaller tiles or shingles. My take is that you really need to discuss this with the county and talk to SHPO, because you don't want, I mean, that's a huge impact, because that's a big roof, right?
Right. And so I do want to mention that we had a pre-meeting with Ian, as he could not be here today. And I don't want to exactly put his words out onto the record, but he was generally supportive of the options presented.
Yeah, I mean, if SHPO, I mean, I really think the metal doesn't look right on that building, but if SHPO says it doesn't affect the eligibility, then I think you have to do what you have to do. But I want to hear what the other PRS members have to say.
Yeah, I can go. I think the only one I really think is appropriate is number 3, just because the color and the profile of those shingles are so distinctive to that building. I definitely understand the lead times and the cost issues there. You were saying the original shingles were an asbestos product, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And I'd imagine those are probably like meant to read like a slate roof or something back in the day. And it looked like there may have even been like clay barrel tile on the hips of the roof.
Yes, I believe in the very earliest time that was not replicated at the roof was replaced in its entirety, including the structure, in or around 1998, I think 97. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think number 3 is the only one I think that's really appropriate. I agree on the metal roof. I don't think that is a good fit. I'm not entirely opposed to the asphalt shingle, just because it's a similar material to an asbestos shingle. And it has a kind of a blended color that, you know, the aged existing roof has. So I'm okay with the asphalt if that's all we can get.
Yeah, it just was my least favorite of the 2 that I felt were appropriate. That's my opinion. It's a big roof with a lot of little bitty shingles.
Yeah.
Has a look, but yeah. So, Jan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm pretty much in alignment. Yeah, the Canadian shingles definitely, if they're available and affordable, for sure. I appreciate how much it's costing just overall for this building, not just the roof, but everything else that's trying to be rehabilitated and restored and just even maintained. You know, the asphalt shingles aren't as nice, but I think they'd be kind of appropriately nondescript, so I'm okay with that. The really Unless the pictures just aren't doing it service, the metal just doesn't
No.
work for me. But as Terry said, I guess if the SHPO says yeah and the county says yeah, then have to defer, but definitely it doesn't resonate for me at all.
But that wouldn't be as inexpensive as the solution as the smaller asphalt
You wouldn't
shingles.
think so, yeah.
No.
Correct. It's definitely a more expensive
Yeah.
option than the shingles for sure.
Yeah.
Though it is more durable. So I mean, so
Sure.
depending on the criteria.
Longevity, yeah.
Have
Okay.
to go with the asphalt shingles. Maybe you can reincorporate the clay barrel tile on the hips. That's pretty
Mhm.
common on a lot of roofs in town. And it would be at least some aspect of the historic material being restored.
Good point.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see a reason that could not be implemented.
Yeah. Well, I hope that's been helpful, Charles.
Yes, I think so. I would just quickly add that actually so obviously this is a pressing matter. The roof is tarped and sort of the building sustains damage in subsequent storms. And unfortunately, one of the problems, even cost aside, is that this material sort of has an unknown lead time at this moment. And so we are doing what we can, I think, to procure this material. But I think after hearing what we've heard today, we're going to reach out to the roofer that is working directly with the insurance company, and we will strive, I think, to sort of nail down more information on this product and see if we can deliver that. So I appreciate your input today.
That'd be great. Thank you. And you'll share
Thank
that
you.
with Ian or whatever.
I'm sorry?
You'll share that with the county?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, perfect. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for your patience. Okay, let's move on quickly. I'm just going to say that we are not going to hear items 4 and 5. And do you want to go through item 6 quickly, Michael? The 6A minor reviews? Or do you want to wait?
Michael,
on mute.
you're muted.
You're on mute. Yeah. Very
Madam Chair, I think we should just end the meeting and take care of all this later on in the next meeting.
Okay, I do want to say, okay, we won't take care of item 6. So 4, 5, 6, and other than the public, we'll have to deal with 7. Did we, other than the letter I shared with you, do we have any other public comment?
No, that was the only letter, Madam Chair.
Okay, so I do want to ask the next item 8 then is the next meeting will be 10/3 at 1 p.m. We will just have 2 cases, the one for the Donaldson house and the other one you're thinking of?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, and we do have another item to mention. I have had some communications from Commissioner Ireland who may not be able to continue. He has not responded to me if he means to be off the commission or PRS or both. So it's something we need to talk about, but I'm not prepared. This just came in late yesterday. I haven't had a chance to think on this matter yet. And I may, we'll have to discuss it further.
Okay.
And maybe he'll respond to me. So anything from Jan or Andrew? You're
Nope.
okay with on my birthday at 1, that'll be my
Aw.
birthday present to myself.
Keep it short, that'll be our birthday present to you.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay. No, it won't be my birthday present, but no, I'm just kidding. But it won't be 3 hours long, the meeting, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, well, thank you very
Short
much.
meeting. And then Ricky is helping us tomorrow with 3 minor reviews. So
Great.
Okay, so you want to just put that under 6A, Ricky helping
yeah,
9/25 with 3 minor reviews. Okay, one thing I do want to mention, now I can't remember what it is. I was going to ask the minutes, tell your colleague, Michael, that the minutes were She really helped a lot with those minutes. If she could work on that motion. I think we want to approve the minutes of today's meeting on the 3rd, if we can, right?
Yes, Madam Chair, we'll try, we'll do our best.
Yeah, and then, I mean, because that will help us to reflect on that motion that we made when we're looking at the Donaldson House, right?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, well, thank you both so much, Maria and Michael and Andrew and Jan, for sticking it out. And so we are going to adjourn at 3:46 p.m. and we'll see you in a little bit, 10 days.
Thank you,
Alrighty.
Terry.
Right.
Yeah.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you all.
Good meeting.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hmm.
Marie,
can
you
I
want to
find-
stop the recording?